Okay, all right. Okay, round two. Let's try that again. Um, I'm not sure how many people we're going to get watching now, but a lot of you will probably catch this on the recording. Facebook has been giving us some major problems with going live, and it wouldn't let us do it through Zoom for some reason. So we're just using the mobile here instead. But enough boring stuff. I am going to speak with Jennifer, the wonderful Jennifer Vodvaka. I'm actually going to end the Zoom call over here, and I'll just bring you onto the mobile instead, Jennifer.
Well, I can't see the live video yet.
Let me know once you got it in write your first novel.
Why isn't it?
Yeah.
Why can't I?
Facebook is just
Facebook
the
is
enemy.
an asshole.
It's a total asshole. So anyway, we've got Florentina with us, we've got Nancy and Seamus with us. Hi guys. Leave me something in the chat. You're the wonderful people that actually stuck around through all of the tech problems, which is great. Let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. And we got Andrew with us as well. That's great. Cool.
It's not loading the video.
No? You can't see
It is
it.
not
Can't see it live
video.
again. Yes. I don't know why it's doing that.
Okay. Now
Hi,
let me
Florentina.
do here.
Okay. And Rose is with us as well. Guys, thank you so much for being so patient. Cool. Thank you for being so patient, guys. We had a lot of tech problems and headaches. A lot.
Did you get my request?
Yeah,
Do I do it?
should be adding
Oh.
now. Cool. I was getting worried too, Amanda. All right, now we should be live. Yeah, can you hear me, see me? Jennifer, are you with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Okay, nice. We don't have any echoey audio or anything. So, yeah, looks a little rough on my mobile phone, but you know what? It's raw, it's authentic. Let's just roll with it. Jennifer, thanks for coming on with me. And what we wanted to talk about is obviously your fantasy novel, which is just about to release.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be the first of 3 books that will be coming out over the course of. Are you going to drop them all this year or?
All this year.
Nice. Okay. Rapid release. That's great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we wanted to talk a little bit about the experience of writing those books and what it was like to work together, because obviously a lot of people that are watching this will want to someday be in the same boat that you're in, with something that's done, that's satisfying, that's completed, that they're actually able to release to an audience, which is awesome. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about how you got into writing?
Okay.
What do you do and where are you from, and how did you end up writing novels?
Okay, so I'm currently living in Houston, Texas. And what I do for my day job is I'm a senior product marketing manager in the high-tech industry. So,
Not writing.
what?
Yeah, so not something like closely creative writing related.
Well, it actually is. I do a lot of writing in my day job.
Okay.
I do product messaging. I do campaigns. So there is a little bit of creativity involved, but obviously within the corporate, the corporate box.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got writing because I was spending all of my free time just binging TV, just
Right.
binging Netflix. And I got to a point where it felt really empty to
Yeah.
just keep doing that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I do have a degree in creative writing from way long ago. So I thought, why not give writing a shot? So that's how I started writing.
Okay. Okay. And for anybody that might be curious, do you want to tell us the short version of what the book is about?
Okay, just a second. Let me get my elevator pitch ready, because I got it. I finally, after 5 years of working on this thing, I finally have it. So here's my elevator pitch, and I've got it right here. So, so the book is called Unworthy, and the elevator pitch is thus. So when Nissa Blacksea is given the chance to prove herself by hunting down a dangerous fugitive, she runs headlong into danger, deceit, and unexpected feelings. And then her dilemma deepens when she's forced to choose duty over honor, and following her heart is the most treacherous path. So that's it. And then I see there's some redundancy right there in my elevator pitch, so I got to edit that. That's fun.
We're gonna tighten that up a little bit,
Yeah,
but I think that sounds
dude.
great. Yeah, for anybody that likes, well, there's plenty of things to like. What would you say is sort of the main selling points there?
The main selling point is indoor plumbing.
You got a
My
fantasy
main selling
world.
point.
You've got a more original fantasy world. It's not just
Mhm.
dragons and elves and so on. You've got some.
Yeah.
How would you describe the influences or the inspirations?
Okay, so my influences, inspirations are like kind of far flung, but
Yeah,
somewhat in the same vein. So my influences are kind of a childhood growing up watching kung fu movies.
yeah,
I love martial arts. I love samurai. I love Toshiro Mifune, who was like the original badass guy with swagger.
yeah.
And I loved all of that kind of stuff, but I also have very influenced by comic books. I
Yeah.
have 5,000 comic books you can kind of see in the
Wow.
background. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I remember watching Miyazaki's Princess Mononoke, and then the
Big
world
fan.
with the magic and kind of the technology of the trains and all that mixed together. I'm like, that's my aesthetic. That's what I want, is a world
Yeah.
where magic and technology mix a little, because I didn't want to do medieval. So that's
Yeah.
a lot of the inspiration for the book when
I
it
love
comes to
that.
setting and aesthetic and all of that.
I'm also a big Miyazaki guy.
Yeah.
So I was really fired up by like you doing something a bit different with the fantasy world. And it's also got romance and it's got some kick-ass kung fu in there, and you got pirates and
Yeah,
ghouls and all kinds of fun stuff. Like, what more could you want? So,
exactly.
tell me, like, and tell everybody a little bit about how we came to first interact. What kind of stage were you at when we started working together? What kind of like challenges were you dealing with?
Sure. So I had a first draft already done and beta read by the time we started working together.
Yeah,
And really the challenges were very much along the lines of pacing. I
sure.
I had a bunch of cool scenes and I kind of strung them together and had kind of the interstitial stuff written to have a narrative, but it wasn't moving along at the pace that it needed to be. It
Yeah,
wasn't. I was navel gazing a little bit when it came to the writing and the scenes and writing what I liked versus what was in service to the narrative and creating some kinetic energy and moving the plot along in
yeah,
concert with kind of the character arc. So I was having a lot of issues with that. And then just kind of understanding how to construct a story and weave all the other elements in, such as the moral message, the character building, and creating those peaks and valleys of kind of how a story is structured. So
yeah.
that was like my biggest challenge. And I
You're,
was doing it all on my own from scratch, not really having any understanding other than what I had learned through reading other stories, basically kind
yeah.
of this innate storytelling that you kind of come to understand by being exposed to it over your lifetime.
I remember reading the first draft and being like, the ideas in here are so cool, and I can see the different inspirations shining through, but the structure and like you were saying, like the pacing and it flowing in a way that really stayed engaging from beginning to end, that
Yeah.
was kind of the issue. And I think when we scratched the surface a little bit, it was because a lot of the story. I mean, you want to talk about being a pantser?
Yes. So and I'm trying to change that about myself. But I'm very much a pantser writing style where I'll just go in and I'll have some cool thoughts that I want, like story beats that I want to hit, and then I just go for it without very much of a plan. And I've come to realize that if I want to reach my goal of writing 2 books a year, I can no longer do that. I have to plan a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it very much, I think it's fun to be a pantser because it's very much discovery writing, and I discovered a lot of cool ideas through it, and I'll continue to pants a little bit. But pantsing without understanding story structure and all the elements, the craft that goes into it, leads you into the problems I was having that you saw in that first draft.
Yeah. This is something that people hear me talk about all the time in the group as well, that if you're going to be like a pantser or a discovery writer, try to take your time to understand how story structure does work so that at least you have a reference there, right? And also, it's even better if you can plan out at least some of the basic building blocks so that when you dive into writing, yes, you can still like get creative and see what comes up along the way, but at least you've got a little bit of a skeleton for it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Would it be fair to say that you've been converted into a planter?
Yes. So I've actually, but in a limited sense. So I've done a little bit of research as far as I'm not a save the cat kind of person. I can't do at 30% of the story, you do this, or here are the story beats and here's where they should happen. I've found a method that I think I'm going to use where it's just 5 things that I have to identify. And then, the first one obviously is the inciting incident. I think the last one, the climax. I can't remember the middle 3. I'll go back and watch the video again on YouTube. From a pantser like myself who's like, okay, I had to rein things in a little bit. So I'm going to employ that method. I have I'm gonna do index cards. I'm gonna write scenes and then arrange it, and then I'm gonna put it in Trello like you taught us. But I need to do far more organization and planning than I did prior to just words on the page.
I think
because there has to be a good hybrid model for that, and I think there is for people to reach a good balance.
And I like that you're speaking to that, because I think for a lot of people that are still kind of figuring out their process, there's a lot of people here that want to be doing what you talked about, which is putting out a couple of books a year. If not like a full-time career, at least they want to have like a little bit of an income stream going from their writing. There's a lot of people here that want that. And I think what you were saying about having more of a process that you can fall back on, and not just like writing whatever comes into your head completely randomly, because that's chaotic and that doesn't really make a system that you can lean on for years to come. You know, what did you find helpful about our collaboration?
Well, I mean, first of all, it was the collaboration. It was the back and forth and getting feedback. Feedback, you have always said that feedback is really important, and it is. It's essential because writing is a solo activity. You're out on the middle of an island doing it by yourself. You have the resources of the internet. You can do research and figure out, here are the story beats. This is the way I want to write. Here are some ideas I want to put down. But when it comes to actual live feedback and eyeballs on your manuscript, that is the most essential part, because you're getting a voice other than the one that's running around inside your head telling you, yeah, this is good or this is bad. You are able to bounce ideas off of your feedback partner or a coach such as yourself. And it was really helpful because I would run into walls, into roadblocks, and not understand how to get around it, because you're as a coach, you really helped with some of the brainstorming and pointing out the problems and offering possible solutions. So when you get stuck, it's essential to have that feedback so you can either redirect in a way you hadn't thought of before, or just get a kick in the pants to just plow forward and let's explore whatever direction you go in.
Yeah. And I also, because I've also had mentorship and coaching and things in the past, and I think when you're arriving at a point where it feels like you've hit a point of diminishing returns, you're like, okay, I've done a lot on this by myself, and I kind of feel like I'm running on a treadmill and not moving forwards now. So having another pair of eyes and another mind on the project at that point can really help, I think. Any like nuggets of value or insight for our audience? Is there anything that you feel like you learned from writing, like not just one book, but writing 3 books? I'd especially like to hear about any thoughts that you have on balancing this with your day job. That would be interesting to know.
I don't know how I balance it with my day job, because essentially what I used to do was put down my work computer and pick up my personal computer and just start writing. I think in 2020, I wrote every single day, save for maybe like 5 days. I was really dedicated to writing. And then some things in my life changed. I I started working on book 3, and that became problematic for me because I had no idea what I was doing. I restarted book 3 6 times. And those take up time and energy. And I, they're wonderful, but I don't recommend them if you're trying to be a writer every single night.
Right.
But, I think balancing with the day job and all the other responsibilities you have in life is you have to set time aside. You have to have dedicated time set aside and create a routine in order to write. Otherwise, you're going to find excuses not to write. I'm tired from work. I'm brain drained from having to think about a marketing campaign all day, or I'm going out to dinner tonight. I don't have time to write. There's always like 15 minutes in a day that you can dedicate to writing or to adjacencies to your writing, such as working on your Trello or working on your character profiles, your moral messages, like everything that goes into writing. You can work on those things in little snippets of time and then give yourself dedicated time to sit down and put words on the page that you've kind of already built. You have the building blocks for what you want to write through that preparation, through what you teach us as a coach. So that you're not like I was when I first started as a pantser, just flailing around writing cool stuff and then not having a narrative that had a through line or was held together by all of the things that you teach us. So I think it really comes down to, if you want writing to be one of your priorities in life, then you have to set time aside. You have to make sacrifices, and you have to let the people in your life know that, look, I am a marketing person in my day job, and I'm a writer in my part-time nighttime job, and you have to writing space for yourself. Yeah.
I really like that, what you said about boundaries, letting people know that you're not just someone that's dabbling in a bit of writing for fun, therefore it doesn't matter if they interrupt you anytime, right? You're like, I am outside of work, I'm a writer. Like this is my thing. This is important. This is high on the priority list for me. And if we're gonna be friends, you have to respect that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's awesome. I'm super curious because we did book 1 together and that went well.
Yes.
And so we ended up doing 3 of them. Is there anything that you feel like you learned in the process of doing book 2 and book 3 that you feel like, having finished 1 book, I didn't realize that yet, but then doing a few of them, it really dawned on me? Are there like any other lessons that stand out?
I think if you're doing a series, whether it's fantasy or something else, you have to have kind of a thematic through line.
Oh, that's good.
Kind of, that touchstone that your characters are always going to try to be in service of, or in the case of your antagonist, going against. So I was like, when I first started book 1, I didn't really know what my theme was going to be. And I thought, well, I kind of stole it from The Good Place, which is, what do we owe to each other? But then I kind of settled on a through line or a theme that becomes a lesson that my main character's father teaches her. And I stole this directly from the Seven Samurai. I'm not even gonna front. And the idea is, when we say through line of hope and service to one another through the relationships of my characters. So it's really, when you're writing a series, you really have to have that long view of what you want to accomplish at the end. And as a pantser, that is daunting and sometimes difficult. But if you have kind of your mission statement of what the characters are working towards and what they believe in, I think that allows you to coalesce your ideas and the books around that through line that's going to be that kind of thematic thread that links everything together.
I really like that. That's something that we work on with people. That's usually when we're working with a writer, that's usually the part that is the least developed because it's the most
Mhm.
abstract
Yeah.
and subtle, is like the moral message, the theme of the story. And what he was saying there about having like a thread of a moral message that runs through all of the books. Yeah, I really like that. That's really
Yeah.
powerful. Um, we're just about out of time. We started very, very late here. Very last question. If someone is in the position that you were in when you were writing the first book, on the fence about whether to have help with it or not, what would you say to someone that's in the same spot that you were in with book one?
I don't think that there's any negatives to getting help. Like I said, it's another voice in the room that gets you, that can like unjar your brain from getting stuck to where it is. And I have to say, like I said, I was as a coach, and I was like, look, I have a lot of faith in that the first two books are good.
Yeah.
And if I fumble the ball on the 1 yard line before I get to the end zone with this third book, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
So I had already gone through the process and knew how good it was, and I was like, oh, I can soldier through. I can do this on my own. But it was running headlong into book three and the 6 restarts that I had done, where I'm like, look, I have to re-engage with Max. He's going to
Yeah.
get me back into the headspace I need to be, and he understands my story. That's a big thing, is that you understand the narratives and what we're going for through the exercises that you have us do, kind of that prep work, and then through reading and discussing our work with us. So it's like having an extra you, but it's a completely different person with a completely different brain who is going to guide you in the right direction, especially since you've given us the tools that we need. And a lot of what you do is you remind us, you bring us back to the lessons and the ideas that we've developed together, so that we're not wandering away from the kind of the good stuff that we've already worked on and the best practices that you've taught us. So I honestly can't think of any negatives to getting a writing coach, to engaging with yourself, and first book coaching. It's just like, I give a lot of credit to you and the service for getting the books and the series to where they are now. And the rest of it's kind of dependent on me and marketing.
Yeah.
And this is the cover, by the way. And I can't
Awesome.
wait. Max, I cannot wait for you to see covers 2 and 3.
Yeah.
They are fire.
Oh, you've already had them. They're already done as well.
I have cover 2 is done and dusted. I'm going to do a reveal probably mid-May. And then cover
Yeah.
3, the artwork is 99% there. And then I have to ship
Awesome.
it to the folks who do the typography, because my
Okay.
illustrator cannot do all of this and the wrap and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So I have 2
Yeah.
separate services. But yeah, he's a fantastic artist, and there will be a poster that connects all 3,
Oh
because he's done
man.
artwork that connects together.
Oh,
So yeah,
you're
I
gonna have
cannot
to.
wait. But
Yeah, yeah. No, for anybody that's interested in picking these up, this trilogy is fire. Really, like we put a lot of effort and time
yes,
into
we
this, and I think it
did.
really paid. I think it really did pay off. Um, I do have to wrap things up in a sec. Are you okay to take a couple of audience questions because people had
Oh, of
questions for you in
course.
the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing was from Melanie. Did you ever find yourself procrastinating, and if so, how did you get past it?
Well, I've been procrastinating a lot recently because I'm like, well, I got to do all this marketing. I have to get into Canva and do visuals and social media post scheduling. So
Yeah.
I've been procrastinating getting into my edits for book 3 and then starting to break story on book 3.5. And what I'm doing is I'm beating myself up over it. And I'm like, look, you used to be so dedicated to writing and now you're slacking. What is your problem? You have to get back on this. So one of the things that I think I need to do is, that scheduler, you have a scheduler where every day you write is green and every day you don't write is red. And that serves
Yeah.
as a very visual reminder to you that, hey, you're not reaching your goals here. You're letting yourself down. So you really have to, with the procrastination, you really have to set aside distractions, put your phone down, close out, Facebook, Insta, TikTok, all of that from your computer, and just dedicate time to writing and build a habit of it.
Agreed. Now, I like the idea of using like a planner or a tracker. That's also something that we often do with people. So that could be a good takeaway for you, Melanie. And then Amanda asked, how early into writing this did you realize that it was going to be a trilogy? Or did you know from the start?
Okay, so the little nugget of an idea I had that started it. What if somebody had to do X to somebody else? And I'm, no spoilers there. That was the nugget of the idea.
Right.
Like, what if a character had to do something horrible to somebody they cared about? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write that into book one. It never made it into book one. I was like, holy crap, I need like so much development and backstory to build up to that moment to make it super dramatic and make somebody feel the pain of that. That was like, okay, I'll write to that moment, but where's it gonna fit? So I'm like, okay, that's gonna be in book two, but I can't. There's so much more to that story than after that happens. So it kind of like, I think when I started writing, when I think at the end of book one,